Hello, hello, lovely people of LinkedIn and YouTube. Just a quick reminder for those of you who don't know yet, all of this LinkedIn Lives are streamed to YouTube channel as well. You can easily find me there. Just type in Micha Matlievski, and you don't have to scroll through my newsfeed to watch some of the previous interviews. But without me going into too much random rambling, happy Monday to everybody. Happy Monday, George. And thank you for being here as my guest. And it's been a while since we did the LinkedIn Live last time. So maybe a quick introduction from your end, and then we will jump into the conversation.
Okay, so thank you for inviting me again. And it's been more than a year, actually, by the way. I think the last time we spoke, it was January 2020. And I'm George Minakakis, and I run a company called Inception Retail Group. Work primarily with private equity firms and mid-size and large-cap companies that are looking to improve their business operations or maybe even sell. And I used to be a CEO in retail for China and the country general manager for Canada for Luxottica. And prior to that, I used to work for about almost 10 years with PepsiCo.
Well, yeah, you have an impressive bio, that's for sure. And I do, I don't remember exactly when we talked, but yes, it could be that it was for sure before the whole Corona thing. So that is the topic of our, well, not the Corona, but the life now when things are coming back to the new normal. So maybe we can just dive in. I know you are in the process of finishing a book, or you already published it?
The book is finished.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, it's finished. It takes a while to write these the right way. People are editing it, so that'll probably mean 3/4 of it will be gone. Who knows? And then it goes out to publishing. So publishing time sometime in the midsummer.
Okay. And it is connected with what we are talking today about, right?
Very much so.
And okay, so the title is Retail and the Consumer in the Post-Pandemic World. So how about if I just let you do a little bit of an intro in how you see everything going on post-pandemic, and then I'll chime in.
Okay, good. So let me start here. When we were chatting back in 2020, I was working on a project on Asia that had to do with supply chains and some businesses out there. And I could see firsthand what was happening in China. We talked about China, but we never talked about what was happening there from an epidemic point of view. But it was very clear the Chinese government was reacting appropriately given something that was going wrong. And they don't react that way unless something is desperately wrong. So at that time, I knew there was a problem. And I started telling clients and colleagues that this could spread. And here's what could happen if it does. I ended up writing a number of articles between that time that you and I spoke and May. So I think I wrote maybe several different articles about what could happen during the pandemic and what the impact could be on retail. And certainly, it's very low-hanging fruit. It was easy to predict, how the retail industry would react to this. When I look at the retail sector, I always say that it's an imperfect industry in a very unpredictable world. Imperfect because there's really very few retailers that last past 100 years. Most have 20 or 30-year lifespans. Consumers are always shifting gears and moving in different directions and preferences. So we were very fortunate that we had e-commerce to fall back on. I don't know that a lot of people recognize how valuable this moment in technology was for us. That if we did not exist and we all had to go out to go do shopping normally the way we had to, and everything was shut down, it would have been more challenging for the public. And so I think we all should be very grateful that where we are today from that point of view. But the industry has changed. A lot of people are hoping that everything will go back to the way it used to be. Nothing Nothing ever does that. Very few things go back to how they used to be. There will be, recently I made a post, and it's in the book as well. It's about, the 4 stages of change, particularly around pandemic. And, the first stage is euphoria. Everybody's going to rush out. Everyone who's comfortable with going out is going to rush out, go to the bars, restaurants, do all the things that they wanted to do, feel good again. But that's not going to be everyone. And, there's going to be people who are going to be sitting it out for a while. But then we're going to fall into a phase. And I don't know how long each stage will last. It's really up to the public. But the second stage has more to do with a slow walk back for everyone. Not everybody's going to be jump out with euphoria. And they're going to be rushing into slowly, particularly if someone, the people with health issues, they're not going to rush out. They're going to take their time, feel comfortable with the world ahead of them. And then the third stage is rebalancing. We've taken on a ton of debt globally. That has to be paid back. There's always that risk of inflation. There's the risks that, that interest rates can go up because of inflation. So all of these things are going to create challenges going forward for a period of time. And then after that, rebalancing. And by the way, rebalancing also means paying back that debt. Also means that taxes could go up. That's a dirty word, but it happens. But all these things impact the consumer, right? It slows down spending. So
George, have you seen, when was that? A few weeks ago, I think, when Warren Buffett had that famous 3-4 hour sit down with, answering questions from investors in his company. And he was already saying that because of certain companies that they own are in construction and so on, they see huge rise in steel prices, lumber prices. So when he was asked, if there is a potential for inflation, he said, we are already seeing huge inflation. It just hasn't yet trickled down to those basic elements of what people buy. So if you're in a position to buy a house now, you will see the inflation because of inflated prices of construction, but you might not see that just yet in the retail stores.
It's coming to a theater near you very shortly, and it is filtering down. You'll see prices go up, but there's a prediction that it's short-lived. So I think that's, I really don't know that anyone can predict that this is going to be a long-term one. If it is, the last time I remember there was a high inflation was in the 80s, and I was old enough to remember my parents paying 17 and 20% interest. That would be a disaster. That's not where we're heading. But I also believe that, if it does come in, everything will filter out correctly. I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as anyone thinks. But look, house prices in Canada have already gone crazy. April to April, 2020 to 2021, our house prices in Canada are up on average 23%. Right? I know people are trying to build decks that are 40. They hadn't built them yet, but the costs have gone up almost 40% versus a year ago when they were looking at it. So there is, and people are stealing lumber of all things. So that's a good indication, that something's not right.
Yeah. Well, how do you see now? Well, is there a fourth phase? First, let's finish there. So, let's finish with those phases, and then we'll go forward.
Okay, so the fourth phase is, you want to call it the new normal. Everything will have adjusted by the time we get there, and it could be a year, it could be a little longer. It all depends. Like I said, it all depends on the consumer. The retailer has no control over this. It's the consumer who's in the driver's seat right now. But that new normal, when it all settles, e-commerce, there's people telling you that e-commerce is going to, peter away, die off a little bit. It's not going to be picking up the same momentum. I don't think so. I'm pretty convinced that whatever they've picked up, they're going to continue to grow on. And then this new phase that we're going to be looking at is, I really see the level of competition. So if you look at all the retailers that have stayed open during COVID, they have had a significant advantage over everyone else. And they've gained in revenue and in profits. They are not about to give all that back, be humble and give that back to everyone else. They're going to fight hard to keep it, and they're going to fight hard to get more. So for every small retailer, mid-sized retailer, or struggling one that's out there today, when they reopen full again, they're going to feel the effects of the consumer and whatever is impacting them, plus these larger, more successful retailers with deep pockets fighting hard to continue to take more share. So it's going to be a very volatile period.
Yeah, that's something we can imagine that Walmart, Amazon, they were open, they were all crazy record highs of sales and profits and stuff. And of course, they're now used to that, and they're going to fight for it. So when you say that everything is in the consumer hands, what do you mean by that? How can we, what can we do as consumer? Do we just go about life as normal, the way we feel the normal is, and or what's the best way to go around it?
So let me put it this way: we've been doing market research in our business here to better understand how the consumer is going to react post-pandemic. So one of the questions, for example, was, after the post-vaccine, how long before you get back to your normal routines? Some 35 to 40% in average, if the average numbers change on a month to month, have said it could be 6 to 12 months before I go back out to doing normal things, right? So you've got that percentage of people saying, I'm not going out right away. So that's an impact. So that's what I mean by that, if they're in control. And if it could take time for them to, if it takes up to a year, then you've got about a year of challenging times for retailers, because the consumers are going to probably stick to that percentage of consumers will stick to their routines that they have today, which is buying online, ordering online, having it shipped to their home, maybe even doing grocery delivery.
So
they're in the driver's seat.
So is your suggestion to retailers to speed up the transition, if they haven't yet, to the online? And what when you talk with retailers, what are some of your suggestions that you share with them on how they can be better ready for the new normal?
Well, let me tell you what we see. Normally, when we look at a company, a private equity firm is interested in a business, we take a good hard look at what their digital transformation has been all about, and how far have they gotten, and are they on the right track? So, in answer to your question, what I'm looking for and suggest to others is, if you're still thinking about a website, if you're a small business, you're still thinking about a website, you got a problem. Right, you need to get on and move on with that. And there are a lot of businesses, even mid-sized ones, that are not far down the track enough to be competitive. So the other issue is delivery.
But George, just sorry to cut you off a little bit, but if I'm a small retailer, mom and pop shop kind of thing, does it make sense to make a website? Do I have the resources to put behind the marketing, or is it better to just go on marketplaces and open my store on Amazon and try to offer stuff through there? I mean, what are your suggestions for the smaller ones? I mean, the big ones, they have the resources, they have the budget, so it's probably a bit easier to capture the consumer, but the smaller ones, I think, are the most in jeopardy in this case.
I tell you what, you could do a marketplace for independent retailer. I've never thought that was a great idea for them. You can sell there, but I think that the best place for you would be Shopify. If you're really that green, that would be the place that I would be starting off. I think that the tools and resources available there are fine for a lot of independents, and they're pretty strong, and they're growing. And I've just recently understand that they're partnering up with Google as well, and I think that that would be their best bet.
Okay, so go on Shopify, create your own store, and then put some marketing budget behind it. Local advertising is still much cheaper than nationwide mass targeting. So that would be your best suggestion for a small retailer.
You know, in May of 2020, I wrote an article for the Retail Council of Canada, and it was titled "The Return of Retail Street Fighting," and that is where small retailers they're going to have to ground themselves into whatever they're going to be doing with a website, hone in on their database, whatever size it is, reach out to their customers, and build their rebuild their business, because it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be very competitive. Everybody's going to be fighting for share. And I think that the only way you're going to get there is to get back to grassroots and do it at a level that, you know, many retailers don't remember how to do street fighting. You know, it's just not in their DNA anymore. But you're going to have to get to that grassroots level in order to succeed going forward as well.
Well, I mean, if you look at the few years before Corona, everything was just going up. People were buying more and more and more. Money was cheap. And so everybody was used to that. And then all of a sudden, a cut. And well, for certain companies like Amazon and Walmart, things went from good to even better.
Right.
And for small retailers, they went from good to almost non-existent. So yeah, if they even survived this whole year and a little bit more, even that's a question. And if they did, is how to pick yourself out, how to reinvent yourself, how to go back to basics and figure out who's my client, how do I approach them, where they are, how do I build relationship, what's my unique value proposition, why would they go to me, not to Amazon, and so on. I guess it's almost like developing your company from almost ground zero.
You are. And, you know, I'm glad you brought that up, because, you know, when you do startups today, I've read data that says that if you're a startup and you're e-commerce based only, you need to spend almost up to 70% of your revenue that you're generating back into digital marketing to continue to grow your business. That's a lot of money, you know, and it's a big gamble these days. So
70%.
Yeah, that's some of the numbers. 70%.
Oh, by the way, George, I don't know how much in depth you are familiar with, you know, the new iOS and those new Apple rules on tracking people and stuff. And I mean, at least Facebook has been saying, you know, like advertising will be much more expensive. We won't be able to do specific targeting, stuff like that. Do you have any insights on how this transition to the new iOS will impact the whole retail space?
Prices are going to go up. If you want to continue to be competitive, that cost is going to be transferred somewhere. So that's the only thing I could say. And it's, look, you're spending a great deal today on digital marketing, and I've had many discussions with others that one person actually described it to me as putting money in a slot machine. You never know what you're going, you know, if you're going to strike gold on it or not. But when an independent can do a video on their iPhone and launch it on TikTok and it goes viral, you know, it's quite something, particularly when somebody else is spending $100,000 or $1 million a year to get themselves to become viral as well, and they can't. So it's, you know, it's quite interesting, the challenges ahead for a number of retailers. You know, how are they going to reach customers? But that's why I said, if you've got your own database and you have permission to email your customers, actually once you have a relationship, you can. I would be keeping your customers informed on a regular basis, but don't make it about a sales event. Don't make it about coming in. You know, it's about building a relationship. And, you know, look, there are three things that are really important today, you know, going into 2022, actually, is the environment. A lot of businesses, small, large ones, they're all going to be challenged by what they're doing to contribute to the environment. The next item is social purpose, right? Why does your business exist? How does it contribute to society? Everybody's going to, marketing is only one element to the challenges ahead. There's also this, and I've written about it in the book as well. And, one of the focuses on the book, by the way, is about future-proofing retail, so that businesses can stay and compete for the longer term. I think you and I have talked about this before. There are businesses out there. Yeah, they're unique, but there's a vineyard out there in Europe somewhere. I don't remember where, but it's 1,000 years old. There are hotels that are 700 years old. It's amazing that small businesses can survive, but it's that level of future-proofing, the disciplines that go with it that can help make businesses more successful over time.
Well, the vineyard is actually in Slovenia. That's where I'm from. We have the oldest vineyard in the world. And it's still, they still make wine from it. They collect like a few kilos of grapes every year. And then they make a few small bottles, and usually they are used for protocol. So the government will give it to most prominent guests or something like that, or when they visit a certain country. So yeah, it's actually in Slovenia. But George, this is something that I've been talking for years now, is that we are moving into relationship economy, relationship selling, relationship building, that we should treat everything as a process, as a dating process, whether that's HR for internal stuff, whether that is partnerships, whether that is building relationships with clients, and that your, well, I call it the leverage of trust. And it's the same as what you're saying. You have a list of your past clients. You already have a certain relationship with them. They bought from you. They paid you. They gave you the money. They showed you that they trust you. Go there and start there, because the know, like, trust journey takes a long time, and it's very expensive. And so if you want to make something faster, you can only do it by using leverages, and the best leverage is using the leverage of trust. And if you approach it with a good way, with customer experience in mind, you can get a lot of those customers and turn them into your fan base and your ambassadors, and they can recommend you, refer people to you, and so on. I mean, yeah, you need other aspects of generating leads and clients and so on, but that is one very valuable one. And I think most companies, most entrepreneurs are forgetting about that one. They're all about new leads, new clients, new marketing, but like CX is something that I see missing from most companies that I get in touch with.
Yeah.
So what's some of your thoughts on that?
Well, it was the customer experience is an elusive animal, right? Everybody talks about it, but it's very difficult to actually achieve, And I think at one time I actually looked online to I typed in customer experience, and I got over 1 billion hits. So there's a lot of thought around what it means. But I can tell you from my own experience that, I worked in an environment where there are many touch points when it comes to dealing with a customer. Every one of them is a moment of truth, right? Every one of them is about building a relationship. And even though someone might say to you, that you need to build a relationship, well, it's only a relationship if you know the customer by name when they come in, right? Now, that's tough to do, but it's not impossible to do with today's technology. So, if a customer can register into your store digitally and you identify them when they're coming in, there's ways to make that relationship work. Look, I walked into a store about 4 or 5 years ago, and it was a men's store and a specialty one. And I walked in, and there's a gentleman walking around with a cappuccino in his hand. I didn't know who he was. He said, "Is this your first time here?" And I said, "Yes." I thought he was an employee. He goes, "They have fabulous service here, and the cappuccino is really great. And they have a sale on shirts, and they've got this." He was a customer. So, right? So, I mean, how often do you see that? But you want to talk about relationships? If you can achieve that level of relationship management, you got it made. right? I think I believe that that's the level where anybody that has a physical presence in retail, they need to work very hard to get to that level of relationship management. Otherwise, you're just another four walls on the street level or in a mall. And I think that that's the challenge for everyone going forward. That, I say you need to be street smart, but technology is important. You got to be obsessed about the customer, and you have to think about it, how innovative you can become if you want to be successful going forward. And that relationship piece just ties into everything.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, yes, you can't robotize or automatize the actual relationship building, and that's what I believe. I mean, at the end of the day, a human being needs to get in touch with a human being, but there's a whole lot of everything else that can support you on that journey, that can be automatized, that can be robotized, that can be done by different software solutions and so on. Just don't do the copy paste stuff at the end of the process. So that last step is something that I believe needs to be done human to human, so that you can really achieve the best results, because people can smell from afar if you're just using copy paste stuff and AI. And I mean, it's not at the level where you could confuse AI for a human being. And if they try to pull that on you, then it probably will be a turn off. But you can use so much of what's available to support you and to make your life as a CX person easier to deal, to manage, to stay on top, and so on. So there's a lot of support that you can use from all of those technologies that are available to us.
Absolutely. And you know what? When you see a product shipped from a distribution center or from a marketplace to your home, my argument lately has been that once it leaves that place, you no longer have a relationship with your customer. Now, the argument some people make to you, and it usually comes from people who have never been in retail, that, oh, you're waiting for the package. That's the excitement. That's the wow factor. No, it's not. When you open up the package, if there's no wow factor in the package, any extra goodies, then it's a letdown. At the same time, you've lost control of your relationship with your customer the time that package actually shipped. So that's why Walmart, I believe, is introducing their own delivery or testing it. Amazon has been doing it. Amazon, I think, ordered 10,000 electric vans. It's taking control of that relationship and managing every step of it. Independence, if most of your business is local and you can ship it, you can deliver it on your own, I would do it. You want to keep that relationship going, I would do it.
I agree. I mean, I agree from a different point. The client journey doesn't stop when somebody buys. The client journey goes way, way, way beyond that. And just recently, a few weeks ago, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and he started here locally a delivery restaurant, but he relies on outside delivery. And I told him that will be a very weak point for you, because you don't control that. You don't know what the delivery guys are doing with your food. Maybe I'll get it warm, maybe not. Maybe it will be all flying around the car. You don't know. You don't know how they will behave, whether they will be nice, not nice. And that is a big gamble, because at the end of the day, for me as a customer, when I order that food from you, I don't care whether you use your internal delivery or you rely on external delivery. If my experience is bad all the way until I open that box, I'm not going to order from you any longer. And you can tell me 100 times, like, Miha, it's not my fault, we use outside delivery. Well, I don't care, because as long as you use that delivery, I'm not going to order from you, because it's a gamble what I will get at the end.
It is a gamble. And I'll tell you a frightening story from a friend of mine who has cameras at his front door. So I'm not going to say the delivery service, so just say the delivery driver brought the food to the door. he had ordered a soft drink as well, and the driver was taking a sip while he was waiting for the customer to open the door. So yeah,
Oh, okay.
so you're losing. There's a lot there that to be little to be desired. You got to control most of it, and I know and look, the consumers are changing. More of them in the restaurant industry, more of them are in the food sector. They're looking for more delivery. Delivery is growing, and restaurants are losing because customers are not going to the dining room as much as they used to. Not just because of COVID; it started before that. And when that happens, you lose ancillary sales. Less alcohol, less appetizers. All of that erodes profitability and makes it more challenging in a very challenging industry anyway. So that's there. But look, I look at it as the delivery service is just another service. But when you're not controlling it from the time it leaves your distribution center or your store to the customer's door, something needs to happen when that customer opens up that package to remind them that where it came from and the relationship they have with you. That doesn't happen all the time. I made the same argument about luxury stores as well, luxury retailers. What's the wow factor when I open the box? Is there something a little extra in there? There's a vineyard here in Niagara-on-the-Lake that ships wine, and there's always a surprise in the box when they ship the wine to me. So that's good news, right? But there's an expectation because it gets shipped by post, which is not always that reliable, but I do receive it. And when I open it up, I've come to expect that something nice is inside of it as well. And it's sometimes as simple as just a recipe for a menu item. It's that simple. But you need to be able to provide a surprise if you want to keep that relationship going.
Yeah, it really doesn't have to be anything big. The more personal it is, the more it shows you that, I don't know, they somehow get you, and it can be something super little, but it will just put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
George, we've already been in this chat for 30-ish minutes, and I mean, talking to you is always it's always so nice. You have this worldly view. You've been all over the globe. You have this amazing insights into the industry and so on, because you've been a very big part, top level part of it. So it's always so nice to just chat with you. But I just want to be mindful of your time and our viewers' time, and I want to just give you the floor for a little bit, because I'm sure I forgot to ask you something that you feel is important for the viewers to hear. So let's call it the golden nugget of wisdom and just say the floor is yours. And on top of everything that we've talked, what would be there to add from your end?
I think that, excuse me, that you need to step back a little bit, but be mindful that the world, as it unfolds, is going to be moving very, very quickly, and you need to find flexibility in your strategies. You just can't be saying that this is the path and there is no other path. Sometimes that happens in teams. You need to strengthen your organization to be ready to compete at a very different level. E-commerce, physical stores, even in live streaming, to be selling it, you need to be able to play on every front. You're not going to be great at all of them, but I don't think there's a choice going forward. I look at retail going forward as one giant experiment. And as I said earlier, it's an imperfect industry in an unpredictable world. It's going to be a lot of surprises, and you need to find flexibility. When I look at the retailers and why they failed in the past, it's because they weren't focused on future-proofing their businesses. They were focused on the now and trying to hold on to the now. You can't do that going forward. You need to be moving faster.
Fail fast, fail forward, the mantra of Fail Coach.
Got it.
Well, George, just briefly before we say goodbye, I really want you to just talk us through a little bit again through the upcoming book. And also I want you to tell us, if any viewer is really interested in the work you do and would love to have a chat with you, maybe work alongside with you on certain topics, what is the best way for people to reach out to you?
So if you want to get a hold of me, Minakakis at InceptionRetailGroup.com is the best way. And look, the book comes out midsummer. I can't put a date on it. It's about future-proofing your business and being competitive in a marketplace. Like, as I said, it's unpredictable. I have a lot of good faith in the book that I've written, that it's going to prime everyone to small, mid-sized, large companies, startups. They need to read the book. It's a very different one. And you said, like, I'm a very global individual, and people have characterized me that way. But I've honed this in a little bit more to be more street smart. That you're going to fight at a local level, and even large businesses need to get off their high horses and start learning how to fight at a street level as well.
Well, perfect. Well, do let me know when it's out. I want to buy my copy. And then once I read it, I'm going to invite you back, and then we can just dive into the book and talk about all the different topics that you're covering in there. That would be an interesting conversation as well. So I would love to do that. So as soon as it's out, preferably Kindle, because if I order something from the US, it will take weeks before it comes to me. Kindle version would be perfect, and then go through it and just have another chat with you about future-proofing the business. I think it's a very interesting topic. I often find myself helping entrepreneurs in doing just that. So it will be interesting to see it from your end, and then we can have more of a discussion about it.
Perfect. Sounds great. Look forward to it. Thank you for having me.
Perfect. George, thank you for being my guest. It was lovely, lovely, lovely seeing you again and having this chat with you. I absolutely wish you nothing but all the best on the future journey. I'll be holding my fingers for the book to be out ASAP. And thank you again for being my best guest. And I'm already looking forward to having you again after I read the book.
Perfect. Thank you for having me on.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, so this was George. I really, really, really love and respect George. He has been in some very top level positions. He was traveling all over the world, being in charge of things in China, in Canada, in US, and so on. So he really saw very different perspectives to doing business, and experienced it from many different roles. So George is really somebody that I'm very happy to talk to whenever he has time. And I really, really value his opinion and what he's saying. So if you were watching this live, I encourage you to watch the replay again. Make some notes from everything he shared with us. If you're watching this on a replay, maybe watch it twice and get some extra notes. Reach out to George. He is a lovely person, a delight to talk to, and you can really learn a lot and get a lot, and it can really help your business, whether you are a startup or you are a seasoned entrepreneur with a much bigger operation happening in the back. Next Monday we are back with another great interview. Thank you everybody for watching this. Have fun, enjoy. I hope you're all safe, healthy. Happy Monday once again. And I'll see you again next Monday. Bye.